Hello there, it is 9 o'clock here. Just getting you updated on the latest with Francine. The official track update will come in at 10 o'clock this morning. So this is what we're showing you as of the 4 a.m. track. And thank you for joining us on all of our web platforms, WWL+. We will have constant updates for you here on out. Now, if you're doing any last minute preps today, we are expecting additional showers across the area today. These will be showers on and off all day long. But the biggest impacts from Francine are still expected to be on Wednesday. Now, let's talk about what the storm is doing this morning, because it really took a beating last night. A lot of dry air got entrained in it, choked it off, and the thunderstorm activity essentially came to an end, which is good. That means it limited its intensity, and we still only have a tropical storm this morning. That's as of 7 a.m. But when you look at the structure of Francine, it is improving and it's coming back together. So what happened here at 4 a.m., the center was placed here. At 7 a.m., the center was placed here to the east. So we saw the center jump around, and that's not uncommon for a system that is struggling with dry air or wind shear. In this case, it was that dry air. So we are starting to see it reorganize. This is a sign that it will intensify, and we do think we will see this thing intensify as we go through today and even into later tonight. So hurricane warnings are now in effect for Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Mary, Ascension, and back through the Atchafalaya Basin. Tropical storm warnings are up for the North Shore, South Shore, and over into in South Mississippi. So right now, tropical storm conditions are expected across this area in orange. Hurricane conditions are certainly looking possible for areas in red there. And so wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe additional hurricane warnings added to the area, depending on what this 10 a.m. track does. So officially, this is what the 4 a.m. track looked like. The center of this cone has jogged east from last night, so that was the big update earlier this morning. Category 1 storm today, Category 2 storm tomorrow before landfall and then moving inland during the middle of the day. So this is going to be mainly during the heart of Wednesday. Conditions start to go downhill Wednesday morning, lasting into Wednesday evening. The good news, it's moving, so we do think this is going to be out of here by Thursday. And Thursday overall, we see big improvements. So this is the 4 a.m. track once again, but what we're looking at here is the data that is more recent than the 4 a.m. track. And you can see there a lot of that data is laying on the east side of this cone. So what that tells us is that the hurricane center will probably shift the cone our direction by 10 a.m. So in the next hour, we will have that update. And you can see they're centered right now, if you average all of it, closer to St. Mary Parish, with some even into Terrebonne Parish, which would send the core of that storm right through the bayou, up through the river, skirting the metro, and even onto the North Shore. So this type of path would bring bigger impacts to all of southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi. We're talking stronger winds, maybe some higher surge in areas, heavy rain, and also isolated tornadoes. Now, when you look at the track of this coming in St. Mary and in Terrebonne Parish, I can give you an estimate on what this looks like. And you can see there, we have outer bands of rain moving through today and outer bands of rain moving through tonight. Once we get into tomorrow morning, though, that's when the actual storm, you start to see it approach land. This specific high-resolution model is a tad quicker than the Hurricane Center. It has landfall during the later morning hours tomorrow, but it's showing a similar path and intensity of what we are thinking is going to happen. So right now, you can see that the core of that storm moving inland, there's St. Mary, there's Terrebonne, that's the center of the eye, or whatever it may be, and moving inland across the area. Also notice there's really nothing on the back side of this. That's because dry air and shear are going to be working on this thing. With that being said, while all the rain's probably going to be on the north side, we do think the winds are still going to be very strong on the south side. You might remember Zeta. That came in as originally it was supposed to be a 1, and then it got upgraded to 2, and then it eventually became a Category 3 upon landfall. This type of structure is probably going to be similar in nature, and it's going to be moving through the area. That storm didn't cause massive flooding. It did cause some flooding, but it did cause big-time winds across the area that led to some significant power outages. So that is going to be a big thing we're watching for Wednesday during the day. Now, if Francine is able to recover from its dry air it saw last night and develop a core, which it's trying to do right now, we very well could be onto a hurricane here at any moment and continuing to strengthen. Today's ingredients are pretty good for this thing to strengthen. Once we get into tomorrow and it's getting ready to make landfall, that's when the wind shear and dry air will kick in, limiting more intensity and then hopefully beginning to weaken the storm. The problem may be that the storm may already be a Category 2 moving fairly quickly inland, so it's going to take some time for it to wind down, and those winds are going to penetrate further inland just because it is moving. It's not stalling out. So we do think we could see some quite significant wind gusts along the coast And these numbers are still preliminary, but this is what we could see. 70 to 80 to 90 mile per hour winds in the bayou parishes closer to where that center comes on shore. And then watch the metro. New Orleans, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. River parishes, maybe closer to even 70 mile per hour winds. I want to slow this down to give you a more detailed look at it. So this is what we could look like if the storm makes landfall as a Category 2 and moves closer to the New Orleans metro and through the core of southeast Louisiana. This type of track would bring 50 to 60 in the metro, maybe up to 70 out in the river, 50 to 60 on the North Shore as well. And then you can see there still along the coast, we could see wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour too. So these would be damaging wind gusts that would knock out power. Now these are not Ida winds, and I know we're all still a little nervous from Ida, and especially down here in our bayou parishes. We're not expecting 150, 160 mile an hour winds like you saw in Ida. Those types of winds are going to destroy everything. This type of wind, most homes are going to be fine. You don't want to be in a trailer. You don't want to be in a FEMA trailer. If you're in any temporary housing like that, those things can blow around in this type of wind. But typically, this is going to lead to power outages. And so that's our big concern with these types of winds. For areas that are inside the levees. Now, if you live outside the levees, we do think we're going to see some significant water rise. And if I live inside the levees and you're okay with maybe losing a little power, I know a lot of people aren't evacuating for this storm. But if you're being told to evacuate and you live in these flood-prone areas outside levees, you do need to get out, because we do think we're going to see 5 to 10 feet of rising water along Terrebonne Parish and into parts of maybe Jefferson Parish. Now, as of 4 a.m., the numbers for Jefferson Parish were 4 to 7 feet. But if this track does shift closer to our area, maybe into Morgan City, maybe into Terrebonne Parish, we will probably have to bump up these numbers in Barataria Bay. Once again, 4 to 7 right now, but these could go up. We do think the water in Terrebonne Bay and along Terrebonne Parish will be 5 to 10 feet. And the closer you get to that center, the higher the water will be. So if this continues to shift our way, we have bigger storm surge issues in Terrebonne and even into Lafourche. Now, once you get on the east bank of Plaquemines and over into eastern St. Bernard here, the water right now 2 to 4 feet. Once again, that number could go up too if this shifts a little bit closer. But I think our biggest surge problems, based on how this is coming inland, is going to be in Terrebonne Bay and Barataria Bay. So I think Cocodrie, Chauvin, Port Fourchon, getting down into Lafitte, all areas outside the levees, you've got significant water rise into Wednesday afternoon. That'll be when you see your highest water more than likely. Now, rainfall is likely going to be significant for a core and just a very small area. Now, what's happening here is on the northern side of this storm, there's going to be a lot of persistent heavy tropical rains. On the south side and on the far east side, it's going to be a bit more sporadic. But if you get in that core, there's going to be a corridor of maybe 8 to 12 inches of rainfall, and so we will certainly be watching that. But you can see it's not a widespread 12-inch event just because the storm's going to be moving. So Wednesday morning, the storm is here. By Wednesday night, the storm is up here. So it will steadily move across our areas as those jet stream winds grab onto this thing and get it on out of the area. So I want to break things down parish by parish for you, just to give you an estimate. Now, I want you to know that these numbers could go up, and I may update these at 10 o'clock. We will have that latest information, but widespread wind gusts, 50 to 60 miles an hour. That includes Tangi, Washington, and St. Tammany. That also includes Livingston and St. Helena parishes. We're expecting 3 to 6 inches of rain and at least 2 to 4 feet of rise right there along the lakefront. Here on the South Shore, I think 50 to 60 mile per hour winds seem like a good bet. The further west you get, you see higher winds. You see maybe 70 mile per hour winds as you get closer to St. Charles Parish and off towards Laplace. Now, that's if that core comes right through the area like some models are saying. Now, as you look at our river parishes, this is where we're likely going to have stronger winds, 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts, maybe slightly over 70 if that storm comes in stronger. 3 to 6 inches of rain with isolated 12 inches, depending on where that core moves through. Surge 2 to 4 feet there in St. John Parish and St. Charles parishes. Now let's talk about the bayou, because this is likely where we see our biggest impacts, because this is where the storm and the actual core of the center may move over, especially in Terrebonne. I think areas down here have the potential to see that 70 to 90 mile per hour wind gust. If that storm comes in as a Category 2, if it still maintains its intensity, we may have to bump up those numbers. We're really watching that closely. 3 to 6 inches of rain and surge hitting that 5 to 10 foot mark, especially in Terrebonne Bay. Now, fast forwarding over towards Barataria Bay, we're still calling for 4 to 7, but I do think that number could go up with the next track update. 50 to 70 mile per hour winds down here in lower Jefferson, lower Plaquemines. And then once you get up into coastal Mississippi, we're talking 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, surge of 2 to 4 feet. That number could change depending on the track. So remember, all these numbers are based on that 4 a.m. track, and the new track will be out at 10 o'clock, and we'll probably see some adjustments to not only the winds, but also those surge totals across the area. And so we will be keeping a very close eye on that. And if you are making any preparations today, especially for our friends out in the bayou parishes, if you live in Terrebonne Parish, if you live down in Cocodrie and Chauvin, I know a lot of the houses are built up, but keep in mind, winds could get a bit rowdy down there. I think Hurricane Zeta type of winds is what we could be dealing with, if you remember that from 2020, that awful season. Once again, we don't anticipate Hurricane Ida winds. It's not that type of storm. It's not in a pristine environment. It's not going to be a Category 4 or 5, but we certainly could be knocking on a Category 2 as this makes landfall, and that is the 4 a.m. track. I do think that 10 a.m. track will nudge a tad closer to our area. So we're keeping an eye on this for you. We've got the whole weather team here. We got the whole news department on this thing. There's nothing that's going to slip by us. We will have that latest 10 a.m. track for you, not only streaming right here on WWL Plus and all of our other streaming services. Remember, you can download that app. Make sure your phone stays charged, therefore you can watch us should your TV go out, should your power go out. If you have a satellite dish, those don't do too well in the rain. You can always watch us on our WWL Plus app. If you have an Apple TV, I recommend downloading the app. It's a fabulous thing to click on and just watch whatever we're streaming in the moment. You don't even sometimes know you're watching the app. It feels like you're watching good old antenna TV, so you can track us there. We will be on Channel 4 at 10 o'clock with the big update for you. We'll have live reports coming across the area here soon, including what they're doing down in Terrebonne Parish to get ready for Francine. But for now, we're going to thank you for joining us. We'll have the latest update at 10 o'clock.